Hello, I'm Eric from the Elk Ridge branch of the Howard County Library. I sometimes teach some DIY classes at the DIY Center, and today, whatever day it is when you're looking at this video, I'd like to go over a few basic tools that you would need for a lot of home improvement projects, whether you're putting up shelves, whether you're replacing one of your deck boards, or a lot of different carpentry projects. So basically what we'll go over is some tools for cutting, circular saws, we'll go over a drill, we'll go over the impact driver, which is able to drive screws. We'll go over this triangle. It's actually called a square. We'll talk about why that is. We'll also get to know our tape measure a little bit, which is kind of important no matter what you're doing. Alright, so let's get started, and before I forget, it's not a real rainbow, that's a fake rainbow, but I hope that it makes you happy just the same. So let's get to know our tape measure. Let's get a little close-up of how a tape measure works, starting now. Okay, so as I said, let's get to know our tape measure. It's a 16-foot tape measure here, and so this is nice. We have tape measures just like this that you can borrow at the DIY Center. So the way tapes work is this is the 1/2 inch mark, this is the 1/4 inch mark, this is the 3/4 inch mark right here. So these are in 1/16 of an inch. So if you're looking at something and it says 1/16, that would be this mark right here. And then we're going to have to use some of our math skills here. So 2/16 is this mark, but if we divide that down, that's 1/8. And so on and so forth, all the way up to 15/16. Okay, so what we have here first, this is a 5.5 inch blade circular saw. The battery's unplugged for safety because I'm handling it, and I would recommend anytime you're handling a tool with a battery or a tool with a cord, don't have it plugged into the battery, and if you're handling it like this, just to be on the safe side. And always keep your finger away from the trigger if possible. So this is a 5.5. What I like about these is it's a little more lightweight. It gives you a little more flexibility. It gives you a little more maneuverability, in my opinion. So unless I would say you're cutting something really big, you're framing an entire house where you need the circular saw all day, I think you could probably get away with a battery-powered saw. This one I had to buy. This is an inexpensive model of a standard kind of 7 1/4 circular saw. And again, more powerful, kind of longer lasting, won't die on you as long as you have a cord, an extension cord that you can plug in. But again, I think it's a little cumbersome. So that said, choose the one that you like the best. All right, so it may appear that I have 2 drills out here. In fact, I do not. This one, standard drill for drilling holes into wood, into your drywall for a pilot hole if you're hanging something up, into a board for your deck board. This one is actually a driver. It's an impact driver. So this one has more power, has more torque, and the nice thing is if you're using both of these tools, we have these actually at the DIY Center in the Elk Ridge branch, the Howard County Library, you don't have to switch bits. You can drill a hole and you can drive a screw. I'll show you that in a minute. And I'd also like to add all the tools I've shown you here today. Everything is a little bit nicer at the Howard County Library. So I look forward to seeing you when we return. Borrow all those tools from us at that time. The last thing we'd like to go over, and we'll go over a shot of this too. So this is a square because it will check if things are square. It's the right angle right there, and we'll get a close-up of that when we cut off the board. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a 4-foot cut on here, so you can see that. So I'll make a little pencil mark, and I want it just on that side of 4 feet because I want this part of the board to be 4 feet. So even if you're a veteran, what's usually good, even though it's obvious this time, it's good to put an X or something like that. That way you can say, okay, this is the trash, this is the keeper. The other thing is this square that I mentioned here will always make a straight line for you. And especially when you're starting out, I think it's important to know exactly where you are and how you can cut there. Really, this is for doing roof rafters and things like this. When you borrow this from us, it comes with a whole book, and it can give you the very complicated explanation of that, but that's a little beyond the scope of this demonstration here. But what I like to do with these, so I can make sure I cut straight, is use this as a guide for my circular saw, especially if you don't have access right now to a cutoff saw or a miter saw or something bigger. So let's do that. And again, the way I like to do it is don't have a battery in, have safety glasses on, and take a look at where your blade is going to hit this line. Make sure it's right on the side of this side that we're getting rid of, because you don't want to cut it right through the line. You'll lose a little bit, and I mean, if you're not making cabinets, it's not going to be that important. However, yeah, I think you want to try to get as precise as you can. So, all right, let's cut. Safety goggles on, earplugs if you're going to do a lot of cutting, and a dust mask can't hurt either. I always wear them if I'm doing more than a couple cuts. So let's go ahead, start the saw. Make sure you start the saw prior to being in contact with the wood. If you start the saw when you're on the wood, it's going to kick back, and you don't want that. And another thing I would say is that once you get yourself situated like this, you have everything in place. The only thing that should be moving is the saw blade. So don't have your hands moving, don't have other things moving. Just make sure that the saw blade is moving, and keep your fingers about 6 inches away from it. Don't get them anywhere near that saw blade. Okay, so let's go. Good show, that's it. All right, so again, drill, do this first. Drive screws with the driver. You can drive them with the drill, you just have to switch your bit. No big deal. This is more convenient, but not absolutely necessary. Same rules apply, as I said before. Try to figure out where you are. We'll just assume X marks the spot on this one. This is our scrap piece. We'll just assume that's the center spot. When the bit is moving, you have your hands, everything else remains still. You have nothing close to that. So when I was younger and lazier, I used to not drill pilot holes. The pilot holes are very important for a variety of reasons. They'll make the screws go in easier, and also because your wood can split, and so if you're making something really nice, or just you don't have another piece of wood, you don't want it to split. So take your time, drill a pilot hole, then drive the screw. This is just a kind of a standard, what they call a drywall screw, but really an all-purpose screw. So in theory, your pilot hole bit should be the same diameter as the screw right there, without the threads. So essentially only the threads catch the wood. Personally, I like to have my pilot holes a little bit tighter than that, but that's up to you. It's a personal preference thing, and you can play with it. And then once you have some experience, you can change your mind. All right, so let's start by drilling this pilot hole. Again, hands away from it, safety glasses, dust mask, earplugs, whatever it is you need, steady flooring. This is a clamp right here. You can borrow these from us as well. If you have the opportunity, try to keep your work steady on whatever it is so it's not moving around on you, and you don't have to use your hands. So there we go. So put that where you want it. Start the drilling slowly. Lift in and out. And that's it. Don't stop the drill until you pull it out, because if you stop it in there, it can be stuck. So keep the drill spinning. All right, pilot hole. Now let's drive the screw. So this takes a little bit of practice, but really it's relatively easy. Don't come in 100 miles an hour like that as soon as you go. What I want you to do is make sure that your fingers aren't gripping this when you go to drive a screw, because it will slice your fingers up. So top hand on here, pressing down, dominant hand holding it back. Try to make sure you're not like this. You need to be straight on this screw. And again, use both hands and use kind of a pumping action like that. You want to countersink it a little bit. That means just below the surface. And there you have it. So I'd just like to say thanks a lot for tuning in, and thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting your local library. And I can't say it enough, but I do really look forward to when we're doing this in person again, and when I see you in person, and when I'm lending you nicer tools than these. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day, night, whatever it is.